Where is everyone today? I was waiting to see the first person jump into the chat. This is Coffee with Cannon, and you could see him in my venue down south in Jupiter, Florida. I'm waiting to see where's all my folks from across the pond. You guys have been mysteriously missing for a while. No, in fact, I got 0 in the chat right now, and 0. Oh, someone just. Who's the first one to jump into the chat? I want to show that person. That is the person who broke the ice. Maui Swift, Maui. I give you a round of applause. Thank you for joining in. Now they're starting to come in. Moonlight View, Michelle Battersby. Good day. And I'm across the country, AB. London Girl, London's calling. Moon, hey, 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 hey. Kathy Collins, thumbs up. Maui Swift was the first one in today. Thomas Jordan, Thomas, always good to see you, buddy. Barbara Ann, Barbara Ann, Barbara Ann. Come take my hand. I keep a rockin' and a rollin', rockin' and a reelin', Barbara Ann. Kim Alliston, always great to see Kim from across the pond. Barbara Ann is putting all those smiles up. She likes when I sing to her. Marie Arnold, Michelle Battersby, good day from Canada. Whoa, in the house. Kath Collins watching from England. Stephen Adsit, hi, Bill, good to see you. Really good to see you. You know, hi, London Girl. London Girl, London's calling too. You know, it was good to get on the air last night because, you know, sometimes when you do a local show, like I did a show about Governor Hochul and Mayor Adams, and it, for whatever reason, local shows don't get the attention. They don't get the audience as when you do a national show. So last night I jumped back into the story, you know, the Debbie Collier case. And there hasn't been a lot of new information out about that. And the case started out great guns, this big homicide, this big murder mystery. And then you're starting to hear the police pulling back a little bit, you know, like, well, maybe it wasn't a murder, maybe it's a suicide, which I totally don't see that. But I've been wrong before. But some of the most important information in that case, the autopsy and the toxicology, isn't back yet. So how do we know? How can we definitively say what that case is until we have the autopsy results and the toxicology? But a lot of people still giving their opinions, of course, you know. And the daughter, Amanda Bearden, who was the #1 suspect early on in the case, remember that cryptic message, "They won't let me go," and she sent her approximately $2,400 via Venmo, and she told her where the key to the house was. That was very bizarre, you know, very bizarre. And then following all that stuff up was the video and the cell phone tracking. And most of us that were following that case were like, oh, they're going to solve this case easily because they have all of that information. They have the cell phone tracking. They have the call. It's going to be easy. And it appeared early on in the investigation that the daughter, Amanda Bearden, was suspect numero uno. And not only did all the people following the case think that, family members thought that, you know. And she now has been on this podcast. That's actually the podcasters. One of them is her cousin, which I find pretty bizarre, you know. It's called Crime on the Record podcast. So she comes out of nowhere and going on this podcast, Crime on the Record, and that helps to bring the case out to the forefront again. And she was on the podcast the other night for an hour and a half, and she definitely has some psychological as well as drug problems. and she talks for an hour and a half with her cousin and her cousin's husband on this podcast. And you know something, when you talk about media bringing things out to the forefront, I think it sort of helped bring the case back out. So it's called Crime on the Record podcast. And, you know, she appears on that podcast, and all of a sudden the case is back in the public eye again. You know, and good thing, right? Nancy Short, yo, Bill, Massachusetts here, freezing up here in the 20s. Wow. You know, you forget when you're in like warm weather, you forget that there's other places in the world that have freezing cold weather, and you get like spoiled. Oh, it's 80 here, it's 75 here. I can't believe you're suffering with that. You could just come down here, you know. It's sort of arrogant, right? Because I've lived in the Northeast my entire life, and always the culture shock is when you go from New York and you don't know what to bring with you, because you get off the plane in Florida, whether you fly into Fort Lauderdale or West Palm Beach or wherever you fly into, now it's 75 or 80 and you have this big heavy coat with you and you're like, what do I do with it now? And the reverse is also true. You go from Florida 75, 80, you get on a plane and you get off the plane and it's 20 degrees out. Like, where's my winter coat, you know? Ruth Ann Griffin, good to see you. Thank you for all those blue hearts. Very nice. Guys, the Willez Pony sent me an email with her wearing all of these merch items, shirts, and showing the coffee mug of the Supreme Commander logo. And it was really great. And thank you so much, Willez Pony. It was great. I love the email. I didn't know if you want me to share the email, so I didn't. But the Supreme Commander merch is out, so you folks that want to get Christmas presents for people, and the coffee mug alone showing the Supreme Commander, I think is wonderful. It's it's really heartwarming. And Josh, our engineer, he did a great job designing that. Baking Nana's Kitchen. All my warm coats are a result of poor packing decisions. What do you think of her son saying he doesn't believe? I don't get that. I listened to the son. You're talking about the Debbie Collier case. And we all know the video of the mom going into that dollar store and buying the butane lighter, and there was like 4 or 5 items she bought. And the son watches that now and says he doesn't believe that's his mother. I don't get that. I fully believe that's his mother. The daughter ID'd her mother, and the son says he doesn't believe that. So I think the son is in some denial because he's been combative also with the police. Nancy Short, the son was a bit suspect to me. Gut feeling. You know, the big thing now that, and I covered it last night, I spoke about, was that are the police really leaning to the possibility that it's a suicide rather than a homicide? Don't forget, they came in the beginning and they said it was personal, right? It was the exact language they used. Let me see if I find the exact language. And that got all of us to say, well, the police think that this is a murder. It must be, you know, it must be. And, you know, it was personal, and what was the exact words they used? It was basically personal and sort of up close. That wasn't the language they used, but that was that got us all on the fact that deliberate and personal was the language that they used. The murder of Debbie Collier was deliberate and personal. So we got that, and we all said, well, they're calling it a murder. They're calling it a homicide investigation. And now, don't forget, that happened on September 11th, 2022. So we're what? October, November, we're into the third month. And the autopsy's not back. The toxicology is not back. What are we to believe? 100 folks in the chat, 42 with the thumbs up, guys. Welcome to Police Off the Cuff, Coffee with Cannon, live from Jupiter, Florida. In my different spot, you see the fence behind me. Are you guys a little nervous with that fence? Well, don't fence me in. I know you're not seeing my backyard in Westchester like you normally see. And I get so many comments about that. Bill, we love your yard, but we like when you shoot it by the pool. Could you go back by the pool? The pool's closed. Oh, but we like even seeing the cover over the pool. Angela Luster loves the fence and the gate. Wow. You guys love everything, man. I love that. Charmaine Murray, your background is lovely. Thank you, Charmaine. Princess Mitch, how long you in Jupiter? I'm here till, I'm going to be going back and forth, but I have the place till May 1st. So, but I'm going to be going back and forth to New York. Oh, because I miss the cold weather, so. I miss my wife, and she's coming for Thanksgiving. So, she's the only one in the family that's employed, I remember when you've retired from the police department, it's a big thing. And I remember the president of the SBA said to me, he goes, oh, you're unemployed? I go, I don't look at it like that. And first of all, when I first retired, I taught full-time college for 5 years right after that. And I could always go back to teaching, but I'm a full-time podcaster now. So I do work. I don't punch a clock, but I do work. I do this, right? Phil Leo, there's probably an Olympic-sized pool behind the fence shaped like a badge and you're just being coy. There is a pool in this complex. It's a very nice pool, too. Beautiful. But one of the things that's amazing, the other day I saw Michael Jordan's boat. Michael Jordan lives in Jupiter. And he has this like 50-foot boat, and the side of it is the bottom of a sneaker. The design of the bottom of a sneaker. And I was passing by on like a viaduct, looking down, and I see the design on the side of the boat of the sneaker, and I go, oh, that's Michael Jordan's boat docked at this place. I should pull in there, because I've seen video on YouTube of him coming in to the Jupiter Inlet from like a day of fishing with his boat, and I think it's called 23. That was his number on his basketball jersey, so it's 23 something. I don't know. Very cool, right? A lot of celebs live here, but that doesn't matter. But Joe Namath was my idol as a kid. I played quarterback too in high school. Joe Namath was it all for me, man. He was the man, He was so cool. He had the Fu Manchu mustache, He owned a bar called Bachelor's 3. He was a big partier and drinker, a womanizer. I thought he was the coolest thing. I was like 12 years old or something, And Joe Namath owns 3 restaurants in Jupiter, right on the inlet, Pretty cool. I want to run into him one day and just shake his hand, Joe Willie. The Jets used to practice at Hofstra, that's in Hempstead, Long Island. And I lived about 10, 15 minutes away in Levittown. I would just go up the turnpike and I would go watch the Jets practice. It was the coolest thing. He had underwear commercials. That's right, Brent Montgomery. And he had a Gillette commercial. And I remember they were like, watch Joe Namath, take it off. And then he had his face lathered up and he was shaving. I thought it was so cool. But he's got to be in his 80s right now. Tiger Woods lives here. Serena Williams. Burt Reynolds used to live here prior to his death. He lived here for a number of years. Great place. I mean, but it just shows you it's an attractive place for people to live. So the people that have the big coin, the big money, live here. 118 in the chat, 62 with the thumbs up. We got to even this out. Let's get some more thumbs up, guys, because that's how they throw this thing out there, So yeah, the Debbie Collier case is coming back into the consciousness. Are we going to get a police press conference soon? Because they really haven't said much about this. Coy Boy, how is everyone? Love that name. Yawn Barf, it's great until the hurricanes hit. Isn't that the truth, you know? Isn't that the truth? You know, probably the scariest thing about, you know, weather change or climate change, whatever they're going to call, are these things called storm surges. Because if you're in the area that gets a storm surge and it surges 3 or 4 feet, kiss your cars goodbye, kiss your house goodbye. Because everything that gets wet with salt water, it's destroyed. I remember during Sandy, my friend, he lived in Seaford, and the water started surging up, and he smartly said, let's get the hell out of here. And they got their cars out of there, like 2 of their cars out of there. If he didn't make that decision, he would have lost both of his family's cars, because the water goes over a certain level, submerges the entire car. Sayonara, your car's history, you know. Coy boy, Sandy knocked out power for a week in New Jersey. New Jersey got hit pretty bad, but so did New York City. Look at the subways. The water was just pouring into the subways. I mean, think of the money damage that does. And one of the things in Florida now is that it's going to be more and more difficult for people to get homeowners insurance. And when you do get homeowners insurance, it's going to be like a $5,000 or $10,000 deductible. No more of these $500,000 deductibles. So you're going to have to go $5,000, $10,000, or else you can have a very small deductible, but you'll pay severely for that. So people are taking $5,000 and $10,000 deductibles. The other thing, remember the building that collapsed near Miami? That's causing a lot of angst. You know, they've re-inspected all these buildings near the ocean. I mean, everyone wants to live near the water because it's beautiful. I look out and I see the ocean. There's a price to pay for that, though. Storms, like you said, it's wonderful to live here until the hurricane hits. That's so true. 121 in the chat, 77 with the thumbs up. Folks, if you're not subscribed to Police Off the Cuff, Real Crime Stories, go on our YouTube, hit that subscribe button, give us a thumbs up, and ring that bell. And if you want to contribute to us, we have a Patreon with 3 different levels. We also have a YouTube channel members with very loyal members, and we have 5, count them, 5 different levels to that. And we get the support from you guys. I'm itchy today. I don't know. I didn't shave. I should have shaved today. I don't know. Sometimes I hate shaving. You know, I don't know. Back in the day, I had a beard, but life is short. Hey, Bill, nice to see you. Life is short. It's nice to see you, too. Fire department here in Naples lost a fire truck storm surge several feet deep, many blocks from shoreline. And what does a fire truck cost? A couple of $100,000, right? Depending on all the equipment it has on and how new it is. Sing with me, ring that bell. Ring my bell, ring my bell. There was an old disco tune. I don't know what year that song came out. But any good wine shops in Jupiter for Cabernets? Oh, you know something that's funny you say that? That store, Total Wine, and it's all over the United States, that is like it's like heaven. It's like a heaven for wine. And I went there today, and I basically also I have to cut down on my Cabernet consumption. But I do, and now I really enjoy it even more because I don't do it that often. But they have the most amazing wines there, and it's like 2 football fields of wine. That's the size of this place, Total Wine. There's one on Long Island in Westbury on Old Country Road. The place is gigantic. You got to see that place before the holidays. Unbelievable, unbelievable the money, but they have the best wines. You know, you're not going to find crappy wine in there. And they also, because they sell such volume, they have the best prices, you know. So this is not a commercial for Total Wine, but I'm just telling you, if you guys haven't been in that store and you're a wine drinker, oh my God. Matty Boy Sully, good to see you, buddy. Always good to see you. Yeah, if you're a wine drinker and you haven't found that store Total Wine, you don't know what you're missing. It's almost like going, I don't know, what would it be? It's almost like, window shopping for your favorite thing. Because, you don't have to buy everything, but it's just incredible what they have and the amount they have. And you can go into a wine shop and they don't have the selection of Cabernets. I mean, there's a whole shelf that's like $50 and above Cabernets. And always, I think the goal, if you're a wine drinker, is try to find the best wine for the lowest price. But it's also nice to drink those upper end Cabernets, and it's incredible. And so it's called Total Wine. I found the place. It was in this big shopping mall. I went to go to Best Buy to return some computer stuff I bought that I actually didn't need, and they had a Total Wine. Coy boy, I love swimming in wine. But you know what it is? It's like anything else. If you drink a lot of wine, the first couple glasses, you're drinking the best wine, tastes the best. But if you drink a lot, you should drink the worst wines later on, because you start to lose your taste buds, and you don't have that real attention to taste once you started drinking a little bit, I don't know if I'll ever reach that again. I used to go over my sister's house, and my sister, my wife, and my brother-in-law, myself, and my son, we would open like 5 or 6 bottles of Cabernet through that amount of people. But once you've attained a certain level, you're not going to feel it any longer. You're just going to get stupid. So I learned my lesson, but I'm not supposed to drink that much anymore. So Zutzin Butzi, aperitif course in between. Life is short. Charmaine Murray, I can't drink wine. It all tastes like vinegar. Matty Boy Sully. Guys, 142 in the chat. 91 with the thumbs up. Gene Colo, I enjoy a nice cold glass of Chardonnay once in a while. Good for you. Holly Golightly. Love that name. Love that name, Holly Golightly. Yaya Kelly. Wow. Here on the shores of Lake Michigan, try some St. Julian or Tabor Hills, Bill. I'll try. Well, I'm a red wine drinker. I haven't had a white wine in probably over 30 years. And that's what I used to drink first. When people want to drink, like, the trend used to be years ago to drink less. People come into bars and order a white wine spritzer. I mean, talk about the bastardization of wine. That's sort of like a white wine with club soda sprayed on the top. That's sort of indicating that this person wants to remain sober for the evening. Scotty Wagner, how you doing, Scott? Coy Boy, Dago Red. Yawn Boff, hi, Matty Boy. Pink Moscato with Orange Crush. Oof. Charmaine Murray, good to see all you guys. Guys, there's another case that I'm going to be covering, and it's sort of a sad case. I haven't covered it yet, but it reminds me of all of the missing children cases that we've done over the years, and it doesn't seem like this case is going to end with a happy ending either. It's the missing 5-year-old boy named Michael Vaughn, missing in Idaho, and yesterday on a tip, the police dug up a yard near his home, not in his home, but near his home. What they said was a credible tip. And they dug up the yard with a backhoe, and they're going to continue to dig today. I don't know what the credible information was. However, they said they had a credible information. And this boy's been missing since July 27th, 2021. So it's been like 16 months. Close to 16 months. Usually with missing cases for young kids like that, it doesn't end happily. He's been missing, way over a year. Exit right after the wife went to jail. The police aren't indicating that the parents are subjects or suspects. A lot of times in these young kid missing person cases, the families are dysfunctional. Is that go along with a missing kid? You know, it always reminds me the poster child for missing children across the United States, and it was this case made them start putting kids on milk cartons, missing kids. And it was, of course, the Eton Pates case. I think it happened in 1979. Kid was kidnapped off the street. And they just solved the case a couple of years ago. They actually found the guy that murdered him, and he confessed to it. So that case, one of the most egregious cases, because it was one of the cases that became very Yaya Kelly, her Facebook is beyond infuriating. When I was reading her posts, I felt physically sick. You're talking about the mom, Brandy. The police were trying to keep it sort of on a professional level. Eton Pates' killer is in prison for the rest of his life now. Everyone is from New York. Most people across the country are familiar with that case. Look at Summer Wells, guys. We all covered that case, right? Candace and Don. Aren't they like poster parents for bad parenting? You know, sometimes when I say stuff like that, people come and they attack me. Oh, you have I do have the right. I'll say what I want. This is my show. And if I think they are poster parents for bad parenting, I'm going to say it. I'm not going to hold it back because I'm going to hurt their feelings. You know, their daughter's been missing now, Summer Wells, under very extremely suspicious circumstances. And based on the investigation into Summer Wells being missing, we found out a lot about Candace and Don. Don being a sexual abuser of his cousins, and he just had a horrific background, horrific. Candace, the wife, drug abuser, alcoholic. Am I supposed to not say that? Do you think that has something to do with her daughter Summer missing? I always felt, and still feel in the Summer Wells case, that Candace is the catalyst to that whole case, How about the house? That house should be condemned. Not just by the Board of Health, but by OSHA. It's a fire waiting to happen, that house. I wouldn't be surprised if that house is, when you look inside it, it can't be built to code, There's no way that house could be built. It's not a home, no. And the fact that the three boys lived in that little dungeon down the stairs and that was the playroom. How about the way they got into the house? It was like the Addams Family. They went into this like trap door. It was like, how can that be safe to do that, Holly Golightly, Summer's bedroom was a dungeon. Yes, I loved when she said, she went down to the playroom. She got a piece of candy from Grandma, A piece of candy. The playroom, that whole house was like, the Addams Family, They're creepy and they're croupy, mysterious and goofy. They're all together goofy, the Addams Family. The house is a museum when people come to see them. They really are a scream, the Addams Family. Bum, 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 bum. Look, children can't, they can't help where they're born into and what they're raised into, but society has to protect these kids. You know, they have to protect these kids from bad adults, you know, from bad parenting, from parents that are alcoholics and drug addicts. They need to protect them. Mystique, I agree, Bill. 165 in the chat, 108 thumbs up. Guys, this is Police Off the Cuff, Real Crime Stories. If you're not subscribed, go on our YouTube, hit that subscribe button, ring that bell. And if you want to support us, we have a Patreon with 3 different levels. We also have a YouTube family channel members. You see the folks with the green font in the chat. They're our YouTube family. So guys, yeah, these missing kid cases, they're so difficult. And especially this case, July 27th, 2021. I hate to be pessimistic, but what do you think the chances are that young Michael is alive? Is there a chance? There's always a chance and there's always hope. But what do you think the odds are? I think not good. Not good, right? We don't know about them till it's too late. Yeah, I mean, this kid supposedly walked out of his house. He was 5 years old. Through the garage, and allegedly the father found out very soon that he was missing and called 911. And that was July 27th, 2021. Life is short. There is a chance, but I wouldn't bet on it. No, me either. I wouldn't. I think the chance is very, very slim. Very slim, you know. You know, there was another case in New York City, and it recently got a lot of press also, and it was the Baby Hope case. And Baby Hope was this little girl that was put inside a cooler. She was dead, of course. And for years and years and years, they didn't know her name. They didn't know how she died. They didn't know how she got there. And in the last, I don't have the exact date, the last 5 years or so, through familial DNA, through genetic engineering, through those 23andMe sites, detectives solved that case. And they put a name to that little girl who was only and buried as Baby Hope. And the detectives from the 3-4 squad and the 3-4 precinct, they all contributed their own money to buy a headstone for Baby Hope and bury her. And then a couple of years ago, cold case detectives solved that case. Pretty amazing, right? It brings tears to your eyes when you talk about it. All these hardcore detectives from the 3-4 squad and then the cold case squad, they stayed with that case. They didn't let it lie. They kept working on it. So more and more of these cases. Heather, whatever, it's good they did bury her properly. Yes, they did the right thing. Look, cops are good people, you know. You meet people from all different professions, and I think some of the most top-notch people on this earth are cops, you know. They really are. Because most of them go into that profession for the right reasons. They want to help people, you know. What professions would you say have the worst people? Be a cheap shot if I said lawyers, you know. But that's probably not true either. You know, but there's professions that probably as a group have a group of bad people, right? Life is short. Cops are awesome. Janine Colho, laugh out loud. Were you laughing at the lawyer joke, right? What was it Shakespeare said? First we have to kill all the lawyers. That was from Shakespeare. I remember in the Manhattan DA's office, in ECAB, where they drew up the complaints, they used to have that on the wall, the quote from Shakespeare. First we have to kill all the lawyers. You know, I don't know what story or what piece of writing that's from, but Shakespeare did say that and was quoted. Registered sex offenders within a certain radius of missing children nationwide, law enforcement should have no warrant, unfettered search access. You know something? Basically, sex offenders that are on the sex offender list, it's almost like parolees. They don't really have the same rights as free citizens. But, you know, parole officers had much more leeway with parolees than regular police officers. They could go into the guy's house basically without even knocking, search his house, search his room. Because guess what? You're on parole and we gave you this list of things you must agree to. You don't want to agree to it? Okay, you could stay in that, 9 by 6 foot cell or whatever. That's probably big for what. You could stay in the cell. You don't get out. You want to get out? You want to be on parole? All right, agree to these 25 things, conditions of parole, right? And usually parolees, they'll agree to it. And if we're going to look for a parole, it was amazing to me. We'd be looking for a parolee for a murder, be ID'd for a murder. And we'd go through the computer and we'd see on the computer that the parolee had an appointment this Monday with his parole officer. So the detectives would come up to me and say, Sarge, we're just going to go to his parole officer meeting on Monday. And we'll hang out with his parole officer, and when he walks in, we'll hook him up and we'll lock him up. And don't you know 90% of the time, the parolee would show up to see his parole officer after he just did a murder on the weekend? Unbelievable. Susan Z, hi there, Bill and Police Off the Cuff family. How are you doing? Infamous truth teller. Heather whatever, wow. Yeah, that Gene Colwell, thank you. The gentleman is truly a very good man. I feel that the Lord was involved because I prayed that if it was, guys, I got to take the Evelyn Wood speed reading course. These chats, the blurbs are going too fast for me. I caught a live. Hi from South Carolina, Priscilla Shara. Welcome aboard. I'm glad you caught a live. It's not always easy to catch the live. We all have lives, right? I'm going to take a little ride after this. I'm going to take a little ride to the beach. I got my new beach chair. I want to try it out, Just got delivered by FedEx, We're so spoiled, right? Whoever, you can get much better stuff from Amazon than you can get at any store, right? And you could search it and know exactly what you want, what you're getting. And if you're not satisfied, you just send it back. It's unbelievable, right? They've made it so convenient to shop by Amazon that you really don't have to go to the store. It's incredible, right? Do I think that it's coy boy, that it's strange for someone to work in law enforcement for 10 years and then retire? And yeah, but if you work in law enforcement for 10 years and you retire, it's something called vesting. You don't get anything till you reach the 20 or 22 year mark. And you don't get a lot of money. So whoever did that, they have to get a job. They can't survive on, and they're not getting any money for like 10 or 12 years. So they have to leave and get a job. In the New York City Police Department, what you're promised day one, and now it's not, it's changed, is you're promised you can retire at 20 years. That was my deal. And after 20 years, you would get half pay plus your health insurance for the rest of your life. Health insurance is no small thing anymore, right? But now I think they have to do 22 years, and they changed a lot of the things. I think with the new cops, overtime is not pensionable. That's crazy. That's why cops are leaving the job for greener pastures, jobs that do give them those benefits. Lieutenant Pete is in the chat. Heather, whatever, that's right. Health insurance is a big deal. Twin Cooties, I like seeing the people if I go through, I don't even need a flu shot. $65 savings, inoculation by exposure. That's a good thought, Some people are very much anti-vaccination people. You know, the whole COVID thing. You know, there's a lot of people that were really not happy that basically they were getting forced to get vaccinated, or you couldn't go here, you couldn't go there. We have the NHS in the UK, very grateful for that. Our national health system. Twin cooties, I'm anti-spending. You know, I don't know if nationalized health insurance is a good thing. I sort of think everyone should have some kind of health insurance. I can imagine not having health insurance and not getting health care or health care treatment because you couldn't pay for it. Imagine that, like you needed certain drugs, but you don't get them because you have no money, you know? Hi, Bill. Quentin Simon is a talk right now because they're digging up. That's another crazy case, you know? Quentin Simon. Twin Cooties, high deductible plan. Holly Golightly, no socialized medicine. You know, I don't know enough about socialized medicine. Well, with us, isn't Medicare something like socialized medicine for people over the age of 65? Whoever just asked about the guy that claimed he worked in all kinds of law enforcement agencies in just 10 years, no, I don't find that credible. I don't think you can work in all city, state, federal in just 10 years. I think that person is not telling you the truth. Sorry that sped through so fast. 164 people in the chat, 132 with their thumbs up. This is Police Off the Cuff, Coffee with Cannon, Backyard Beverage, Bitchin' with Bill, whatever you want to call it, you know. Guys, can you believe it's November 14th? Before you know it, it's going to be, Thanksgiving is what, the 24th? 10 days. 10 days. Be with Bill, love it. Bitchin' with Bill, Gene Colo, yes. Bitchin' with Bill, I remember Backyard Beverage. I named the show a lot of things. I love it when I look through some of the old shows and I look at the weather in my yard. One time there was like a storm, snow was flying, it's blowing in my, and it was so cool because you watch it and you go, look at that. I'm doing a show outside during the middle of a snowstorm. And here I am in Florida and Jupiter, and the weather's just gorgeous, you know. Lots of YouTubers floating there today. Moonlight View, Mickey Mel. Hi, Bill. You know, I'm still expecting those Westchester chickens to start up behind you. Yeah, that too. If you guys haven't listened to me when I did my show by my pool, someone in a house near me has a bunch of chickens, and they make so much damn noise, but it's sort of funny to listen to, you know. Phil Grimaldi, hello, Bill, and all our friends in the chat. There's straight out of Brooklyn, Phil Grimaldi. Yeah, I remember, Bill, when you said cheers with a glass of Bailey's last winter? Yes, I love Bailey's. It's so good in coffee, you know. Bailey's and coffee. Phil Leo, hey, Phil G, we missed you. Heather, whatever, Cookie, sorry, I need glasses. 171 in the chat, 137 with the thumbs up. We had almost 180 people in the chat today. It's pretty damn good for a Coffee with Cannon, Backyard Beverage, Bitchin' with Bill, you know. This evening, I believe I'm going to go on. I haven't picked the exact time yet. I'm going to go on with, talk about the missing case of Michael Vaughn. These cases are just horrific. I think we need to keep them in the public eye. Phil says it's cold up north. I heard it was cold and rainy, right, up north. Here it's about, I guess, you know, the 75 or 80. It's beautiful, you know, just a beautiful day, you know. It was a good day. I did not have to use my AK. None of my friends get killed today. It was a very good day. I find that so funny. used to sing that to my classes at the college I taught at in AME. Professor, you're mad silly. Cannon, you're mad crazy. Olana, oh my God, I met Michael Vaughan. Yes, Michael Vaughan. I'm going to talk about Michael Vaughan this evening. Peter Pranzo, it's chilly but sunny on Long Island. Lieutenant Pete lives on the North Shore near the Long Island Sound. Beautiful, beautiful out there. Long Island's a beautiful place too. I always thought that I used to take my kids there when they were really young on the rocks at Montauk, at the very point where the lighthouse is. We'd walk out on the rocks and we'd just watch the waves hit the rocks, and my kids have memories of that. And I remember when my son Jake was about, I don't know, 7, 8 years old, I didn't think he was having fun because he would be sort of quiet and not talk about it. And I'd be like, oh, Jake, tomorrow we're going to do this and do that and we'll really have fun. He goes, I'm already having fun. I was like, well, wow, I didn't know you. I would never know by your demeanor, but that made me feel good that he was having fun, Gabrielle, young Bill in the house. No, actually, my son's youngest son, who's 27 now, his name is Jake. And my oldest son, who's 30, his name is Casey. So, yeah, they're men. There's no more kids. But they'll always be your kids, right? They'll definitely always be your kids. So, infamous truth teller saw the lights of the Goodyear blimp in it. Bill Cannon is a myth. I know a lot of people don't want to talk about, but have you heard about Jared from Priscilla Shirai? Yes, I have. Horrendous, right? Talk about bringing down an empire, and that's going to destroy that Adventures with Purpose business, the channel. Duty Ron did several shows on that. Yeah, horrible, right? And for an organization that did such good work, did such good things, found so many people that were missing, horrible, right? Gene Colo, I've got for adult Rugrats, 3 out of 4 of them have children of their own. That's great. That's great. So your grandma. Corinne, I have sent you a PM. Please look for it. I will, Corinne. Sometimes I get so many messages I can't get back. I try to, but sometimes I can't. People ask us to do certain cases, and it's hard to do. It's just hard to do it. We have to sort of pick and choose ourselves. I know people will point out cases to say, "Oh, please, why don't you do this case? Why don't you do that case?" It's tough. It's tough to do. So there's times where I'll ask certain people if they'll come on my show, and lots of times I get no answers whatsoever. Corinne, it's not about a case, it's a question. Okay, Corinne, I'll look for it. It stinks that he tainted that name for all the good people that work for that company, Adventures with Purpose. Yes, Jared destroyed his company's name. And this is something he did a long time ago. But I don't even know what if there is a statute of limitations on that. Horrific behavior, Unfortunately, these things occur more and more often these days. 168 in the chat, 147 with the thumbs up. Guys, thank you so much for coming by today. I only have about a minute left. Monday, November 14th, 2022. Unbelievable, right? Is there a way to verify if someone is an officer or not? Yes, they're in lot. You'd have to take it. A private eye has these databases. You can run them in. I don't have access to these databases anymore. Faces of the Nation, that'll tell you if someone was a law enforcement officer. They call it AutoTrack. AutoTrack, Faces of the Nation. Probably since I retired from the police department, there's even more and more law enforcement databases that I'm not aware of. But yes, you can find all of that stuff out, A lot of the investigative. Phil Grimaldi says, Bill, the holidays are right here. Yeah. Unbelievable, right? The holidays are here. Thanksgiving, next thing you know, it's Christmas and it's New Year's. Unbelievable. Guys, I want to say goodbye to everyone. Have a great afternoon. I'm going to go on this evening. I'm going to do a presentation on the Michael Vaughn missing case. Thank you so much for stopping by today, and I'll see you tonight, those that can make it. Have a great day, and God bless.